need to get a romance to put you in a trance. So come on, give him a chance to make you dance. A cool Clyde, shock in the side, shock in the side, shock in the side, you know.
Welcome to another edition of the DJ Cool Clyde Show, where you know my show deals with spirituality, it deals with health awareness, it deals with hip hop, and tonight we're going to have a serious topic that we're going to get into tonight. We'll be right back after these messages.
I'm Deborah Cox.
I'm Kelly Price.
And I'm Tamia.
And you're watching The Cool Clyde Show.
Thank you. Welcome back to the DJ Cool Clyde Show. For today's topic, we're going to be focusing on a serious topic, and the topic today we'll be talking about the Sean Bell case and verdict.
To me, it wasn't a verdict. It was just our words were said, you know. Because the law should be protected us, but it didn't. You know, it hurt us more than it helped us. It's been almost 4 years. For 3 days a week, I cannot sleep. But for some reason, I cannot. Then my daughter, she'll come home from school, catch a nap, and start breaking out in tears. Because she see her brother in tears. Now, and then my wife, matter of fact, this morning, just started going through changes, crying. You know, we are actually getting abused every day with our minds and our soul and our hearts. You know. And they don't realize what they did, you know, and it's just so hurtful that, you know, I don't know how I continue going, but I do it in a way like helping kids, you know, and trying to do that, let them know there's somebody out there caring for you, you know, regardless. If your parents don't say I love you, I say I love you, but the whole day I need to tell someone, because my son knew I loved him, but it's so much hurt within me, it's like, the love is balled in. It can't get out because I didn't get no justice. You know, how can I say I was his father without I didn't protect him? That's how I feel. You know, when you don't protect your own, that's the hurting thing. You know, and I'm scared to go to sleep. That's the reason. I can imagine him sitting behind that wheel, getting shot up with bullets. You know, and you think about it, you imagine your person, your being. I put myself in that situation for some reason. My body seemed to go into that. It's hard to understand at times. And I catch myself like, oh, I gotta come out of it. But I can't. You know, I catch myself walking in the street talking to myself like I'm crazy. You know, I don't know what's going on. I don't know why I'm walking.
Do you feel that at any particular time in your mind, I know that's your son, that perhaps maybe he shouldn't have been at that location at that particular time?
No. Why? We all have a right to be wherever we want to be. You know? And because he was celebrating and getting married, that's a crime? That shouldn't have been a crime. You know? And they made it as it was a crime. He shouldn't have been there. He shouldn't have been out. But this tradition been going on for years, many years. You know? And nobody got hurt, nobody got killed before. They're having a bachelor party. Why all of a sudden now? Why? What's the reason? All of a sudden it's a law? And for the police department, do I feel different? No, we need law and order. We definitely need that.
Okay.
Trust me, we definitely need it. We need that there. But the right law and order, respect for each other, you know, communication, which we don't have. And that was the whole thing. That's what my son is dead today, because there wasn't no communication.
Mr. Rubeinstein, let me ask you a question. You're the attorney that's representing the case. How long have you been representing the case, and where are we at now with the case?
Well, I've been with Michael Hardy, counsel, in this tragedy since it occurred. We now are in the phase in which the civil case is about to move forward. The civil case is a federal case. There'll be a jury. We never had a jury. In the criminal case, the federal government decided not to prosecute because they were concerned with proving intent. It's very different in the civil law. And the civil case will move forward. And if there's a trial, it will be a trial before a jury, which is a right that Americans have, to trial by jury. So we look forward to that trial to get some of the justice that this family has not gotten to date. And also, one of the things I talk about in this book that I told you about that I just wrote, which we'll talk about, is that what we do as trial lawyers is fight for justice and change. And let me tell you what change we need as a result of what happened to Sean Bell and Joe Guzman and Trent Benefield. Right now in Albany, there's a statute that has not been acted on yet, a law which has been proposed called the Bell Package of Reforms in Policing. And we hope that might make a difference. It includes blood and alcohol testing of police officers after they fire a weapon. One of the unanswered questions, and I talk about it in the book, with regard to the killing of Sean Bell is, we'll never know how much alcohol these detectives had before this tragedy happened. Also, more money for training of police officers. We need to better train police officers, changing the jurisdiction to the Attorney General of cases involving excessive use of police force, because the district attorneys, as well-intentioned as they are, have to use detectives and police to make the cases that they prosecute. They shouldn't be also prosecuting police officers. It should be done by a different elected official. And what's proposed in this law is the Attorney General, and there's other reforms as well. Well, right now, that package of reforms, the Bell package, is blocked in the gridlock of Albany. And we need your viewers to call their assemblymen, call their senators, and put pressure on them to pass this package of reforms so that what happened to Sean Bell will never happen to anyone else ever again.
Exactly.
Are they looking to pass any laws where, I know they have this blue wall of silence where police officers don't have to talk within, within
Well, one of
after
the
72
one of
hours?
the things, that's a 72-hour rule. One of the things that we're hoping, if this legislation passed, is that it will chip away at this blue wall of silence.
Right.
I did the Abner Louima case, the police torture of Abner Louima. In that case, the police union, the PBA, paid damages over $1 million to Mr. Louima. That sent a message, hopefully, to police unions all over the country, that if any way, shape, or form there is an issue, whether or not you were involved in a cover-up, you could be held to pay damages.
But-
and that's trying to break through the blue wall of silence.
Right, but where are we at? Instead of chipping away, abolishing it, or getting rid of it
Well, I think the
altogether?
only way you can really get away with it is to change the culture of the police department
But
and the
don't you
culture
think the
of police
individual
officers.
police
I think-
themselves
I
should
think
make that change?
That the individual police officers,
Right, 'cause
you're
you
right,
see
have
something
to
wrong.
make that
If they
change.
see something
They should
wrong.
come forward.
Exactly,
They should come
but they
forward.
don't do it.
And that's a culture that has to be
Right,
changed in the
exactly.
police department. I had a wake-up call. When I got the Abner Louima case, which was over 10 years ago, I remember meeting a black media mogul who was a multimillionaire, very successful, well-known if I mentioned his
Right.
name. And he took me aside and said, the police know who I am. They're not going to mess with me. But I have a teenage son. I
right.
fear more violence against my
There's a
son
son,
from the
right.
police than the average criminal.
Right.
Well, that was very telling to me, and is something that has to change.
Okay. Now, when I see police officers getting into car accidents, having cases such as maybe like the Rodney King thing, and people are videotaping that, and they come out and say, what you've seen is not what you are seeing. Do they have any policies implemented that a police officer should be tested for drugs?
Right now, after the Bell case, there was a commission formed. After the Bell tragedy, there was a
Right.
commission formed, and their recommendation to the police commissioner, only in New York City, recommended alcohol testing, blood testing for drugs of police officers after they shoot. And the commissioner, to his credit, enacted that. But it's only in New York City, and it's only by the police commissioner. We get a new police commissioner,
Right.
that could
It could
change.
change, right.
Not in the rest of the state. Not in the rest of the country.
Country should
We
be.
need a law passed in New York, which is in the Bell package that I spoke about earlier, which will mandate blood and alcohol testing for alcohol and drugs of police officers after they shoot and kill or maim someone. It's a deterrent. Do we really want people with guns who have had a few shots of alcohol? No.
Let me bring Detective Anthony, former Detective Anthony, I should say. When you hear in terms of cases like this, perhaps you may have a partner that you've been working with side by side, and you see something that isn't right with your fellow officer, do you feel you have a social responsibility to say something to your fellow officer, or do you look the other way?
Well, being that I was in the emergency service unit, we had incidents like that, like what you're saying, where you see somebody get maybe stomped by the police officer and they like really roughing the guy up. There's a lot of times officers were like, okay, I'm not getting involved with that. But as our job as emergency service cops, especially when we're dealing with that situation, it's like, okay, it's enough. let it go. And even as a regular patrol cop, he'll say, okay, dude, that's it. It's over. You know, we got him in custody. You don't have to go no more. You know, especially when he's already handcuffed, so he's helpless. So why are you doing that? So not on my watch.
Hey, this is Monique, and I'm standing here with Cool Clyde. This brother is the first brother that put scratching on the map. Right here, baby. Check out our history.
That's right, baby. Worldwide. I got
Worldwide.
Back here we are. This is an exciting topic that we're talking about. I mean, it's real serious, you know. Mr. Bell, let's talk about your son. Let's go back into this, man. This is very serious, and it's touching so many of us as black young men. How do you feel when you wake up thinking about your son? Do you have any animosity towards the world, towards the police department? Is there any conflict between family members? Let's talk about it.
You know, for his blaming someone, I blame myself. Because I was with him that night. And I left for like 10 minutes before it happened. You know, I got home, I get the phone call. I keep blaming myself. I said, why did, you know, he said you going for breakfast. I was supposed to meet you. I would go home and change. If I did say, come with me, maybe, hey, I might have been there too. I don't know. But the whole thing, I might have saved his life. And that's what hurts me every day. It eats me up. It comes with the family, yes, it causes a problem. You know, with me, my wife, my daughter, you know, it's because we, you know, we all have feelings. And the feeling is so painful. We don't know how to communicate at times, you know, because we have different, our mother, for instance, our mother losing her child, she knew that young man before I even met him for 9 months. Right. You know, you give her a lot of credit for that. You know, for her to know that man, young man, before he was born, and have him destroyed in front of her, that's a hurting feeling.
When we talk in terms of this case, you know, so many different thoughts are going in my head because it's very touching, and I saw of course, many people have started shooting and how the bullets ricocheted off the train station. And when were these cops acquitted? What month? Was it in February sometime?
Well, I'm going to tell you something. It seemed like it was, when the trial started, they were acquitted. That's where I saw it.
Mr. Rubeinstein, do you remember when?
About a year ago.
Do you remember the month? Was it in February?
April.
April.
Oh,
April 18th, right?
April of 2008.
Yeah.
Now, Mr. Rubeinstein, I know you've been representing this case for such a long time. What other ways do you think that we can, or you guys who are fighting to try to get this thing overturned, to be able to bring some justice to the family and to regular people, where are you at with this?
Well, the civil case is about to begin. We'll be back in court next week on the civil case, and that's in federal court, where there'll be a right to have a jury hear the facts of the case and decide the issue of negligence. And I look forward to this case going before a jury in the federal court. In addition, what your viewers can do, and it's really important, is to support the passage in Albany of the Bell package of legislation. Reforms in the police department mandated by law.
What is in the
all
package?
over the state.
Because I'm sure they want.
First of all, you have drug and alcohol testing for police officers after they shoot or maim someone by law all over the state. Second, improved training of police and detectives. Third, giving the jurisdiction for prosecuting excessive uses of force by police to the Attorney General. Right now it's with the local district attorneys, and we know they're well-intentioned, and we know they do the best they can. But the truth of the matter is, district attorneys need the police and the detectives to make their cases in which there are acts of crime. Certainly to have them prosecute police officers is a conflict. That should be changed, and there's other reforms as well in that package.
Do you think elected officials, various people, news stations use this high-profile case as a political game?
Well, I think the first thing that we need elected officials to do is to stand up and get this Bell package passed in Albany. I'm talking about assemblymen, I'm talking about state senators, and I'm talking about the governor. They got to pass this package, and if they don't, they should be held accountable politically for not doing what's right in the interest of the public and the interest of public safety.
Mr. Anderson, now, as being how long have you been on the force?
20 years, I did.
20 years. So you are seasoned.
Yeah.
And you know what's going on. Do you come up against any critics towards any of your former officers? Perhaps maybe you're driving in your vehicle and you get unnecessary stops and things are happening under that nature. Do you experience any of these things?
Well,
Wiretapping from your phone?
well, we don't know. We'll never know. But you know, you always suspect that somebody's listening. But you know, going back with when I first started being with the Bell family, which is actually family because it's through my wife that made us family. I was getting calls from my partner, and he was being asked, why is he with the Bell family? You know, why is he with the Bell family? Why is he moving with the Bell family? And right and wrong, you know what's right, you know what's wrong. And you know when, from like you said, being a seasoned veteran, knowing what happened, each scenario of what they did, especially when being in the trial and seeing that you know that it was a mess up, you know there was a cover up, you know there was a lot of things that was kept away from that trial because if certain things was put inside that trial, like Mr. Rubeinstein said, is that the prosecutor got to work, you know, with the police officers because that's how they make their prosecution. But with me, it was either what side am I going to take? And I took the right side because, you know, even if I wasn't a family member, you know it wasn't right. You know, and they need somebody who could, you know, not only calm them down because that's a hard job. I'll tell you any way, you know, you put it. But when you hear comments from people that represent you union-wise, and they make comments about, you know, about the family, it's like, well, you have no consideration that could be my family. So you don't care about me.
You know, it was clear in his trial, in the criminal trial in the state court, that the strategy of the defense was dirty up the victims.
Yeah.
But that's not new. The defense of cases involving excessive use of force by police, that's a tactic that we see in the trial, before the trial, in the court of public opinion, in the press, before a case comes to trial, and at the trial, dirty up the victim.
Is there any type of attempt to be able to have an outside independent investigation agency to investigate the police department?
Well, right now, the truth of the matter is the best agency to do that is the federal government. Because the federal government has a statute, but it's only available to federal prosecutors for an overall review of the police department, whether or not there's a pattern and practice of police brutality. We almost got it out of the Luima case. We did get some change as a result of the Luima case. If you remember, Admiral Luima would not take his settlement, almost $9 million that we got for him, until it was also changed. And there was some change. But it's this pattern and practice investigation by the federal government, which would be significant, as well as perhaps changing the statutes on a federal level to allow individual citizens to bring patterns and practice lawsuits against police departments, so that you have outside agencies. But I think the most significant thing that could be done is in this Bell package. As I said a moment ago, there's changing the jurisdiction to prosecute cops for excessive use of force from local DAs to the Attorney General, or maybe even to an independent prosecutor. That's what's needed so there's no conflict.
Do you feel, by you taking over this high-profile case, that maybe some of your colleagues look at you different? Do you feel that they're feeling that you shouldn't take over this case, you should just stay out of this case? How do you feel?
You know, if that's the case,
you feared for your life?
If that's the case, you know, so be it. I know I'm on the side of what's right. I'm fighting for justice in these cases, but I'm also fighting to stop these tragedies, to get change so that we don't have any more Sean Bells, we don't have any more Usman Zongos, we don't have any more things like what happened to Admiral Luima happen. That's what I'm fighting for. I'm on the right side, and in that, I get my strength, and the strength to go forward and continue fighting for victims.
Where are some of our ministers in the churches and our leaders on this? Are they out in the forefront talking about this in their congregations? Are they using it as a religion, organized religion, to create publicity and more members for their church? Or are they really standing up?
You know, you asked the question I always wanted to answer. I'll be honest with you. You know, they are not doing a daggone thing. At the beginning, I couldn't get rid of them. A couple weeks later, I can't find them. No support whatsoever. You know, it's a sad thing. They preach God, they preach helping each other, but they're not there. Their hearts are not there. They're not pure. You know, I have more support from a minister in Manhattan Then you got 500, 600 churches in Queens. Not one of them showed up and stood with me when we did a 50-day vigil. Not one.
Is that minister's name Reverend Al Sharpton by any chance?
Yeah, him? Yes, yes. Al Sharpton and Reverend Brown.
Okay.
You know?
So Al Sharpton has been really.
Oh, he been there.
He's been out there.
Exactly. Even though, you know, I'm gonna tell you something about that. You know, people are funny. You know, they'll criticize me for keeping it out there. That's my son.
Right.
Why should I? If I don't do it, who gonna do it? I can't depend on no one else to do this. It's the pain I got to try to release. You know, I know other people feel the pain, but why you give it up? That's the whole thing. Why you give it up? You gave up. I should. You're always gonna have that negativity, person out there. Like I said, with the churches, they'll pass by, wave their hand, and okay, it's all fine. You see, I don't go to the buildings that much because I have God in my heart. Mm-hmm. And that's why I see it. You don't have to have a building and pay somebody to tell you how you're supposed to feel. Mm-hmm. And to me, they're a bunch of phonies. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna regularly say that. So you're the first one to ever ask that question. And I always want to say something about that because it hurt. Because my wife is very religious, and her people didn't actually show us that a lot of support.
Do you feel that attorneys, prosecutors, the judges, sometimes go behind the scene, have lunch and tea together, and act as if they're in defense and they already got it all planned out where the verdict is going to go before they step in the courtroom?
That's possible, but that's how it works. I can't say too much about it because I really don't know. But the whole thing, I look at it this way: the way I see you perform in front of me, and I can tell if you're honest or not. If you're honest, I see it. What you do behind those doors, it's all right. But as long as you're working for me and doing something that supporting my effort, it don't really matter to me. Cause I know everybody make the deals. They have to, to get along. Like the police work with the judges and prosecutors. We all know that because they already made their decision before the trial even started, more or less.
Mr. Rubeinstein, what do you think about what he just said?
Well, I think one of the things you have to understand as an attorney, the way it's supposed to be, is you're supposed to have your client's interests first, paramount to anything else. And that's part of the oath we take as attorneys, and those who don't follow that oath are doing the wrong thing. So, and while, very well may exist, the truth of the matter is, if someone is represented by an attorney, that attorney is supposed to look out for the client first. Stop right there. So I think that's the message that has to be put out there, that if an attorney can't watch out for their client first, they shouldn't be on the case.
Well, when you talk in terms of attorneys, you have legal aid attorneys, you have high-profile attorneys. Is it about the money, or is it about the actual case, the crime that was committed unjustified?
Well, I think every attorney has the response. And I learned this from Johnny Cochran, who I work with in the Lewima case and cases all over the country. Every attorney has a responsibility to their client first, clearly, and that's the obligation you have as an attorney, and that's the most important thing. And whether you advocate for a client that gets favorable press or not, that's your job, that's your responsibility. Your job is to represent that client. No matter how horrible an act they may have committed, if it's a criminal case, if you can't do that, don't take the case. And the same thing's true about a civil case. If you can't take the heat doing high-profile cases, then don't take the whole high-profile cases, because you're going to come under attack as a lawyer, and maybe wrongly so. But that's the way it is, and if you're not prepared for that, then don't take those cases that are high-profile. But you got to stand up for your victim no matter what. And even if you get hit, wrongly so, in the press, you still got to stand up for that victim.
What do you feel, and how do you feel at this particular point that this case is going? Are you satisfied? And what would you do when you win this lawsuit? What would you do with the money? What would your greatest thing to put out there to the community for your son?
Now, I may answer the question. How I will feel? Well, no pleasure whatsoever, actually. 'Cause he's not here. And for the money concern, I'm not part of that. I'm not part of that suit. I'm just, I'm here to support the suit, Nicole and the kids. It's basically for the kids. So I'm not part of that, but I'm there to support it. If I did make money, it's gonna be all for him, the foundation,
and what would
the Sean Bell Foundation.
Okay, goes to
right.
Would it be helping
Helping
young kids
in
would it,
the community.
in the community,
Right.
stuff like that? Anthony, you wanted to say something. We got thousands of people watching this interview, man. So many people are watching this interview, and I'm sure that they're saying these questions are definitely being felt and they're being answered. Let's talk.
Well, I just wanted to add on with the foundation. Once we started it last year, and one of the things that we're trying to do is get out into the streets and put the knowledge out there on when you get stopped by the police, what to do. There's a lot of details on what to do, because if you don't have that communication, if you're not at ease and that police officer is not at ease, you're not going to communicate. You're going to bump. So we're trying to get that out there. Also, what we're trying to do, we're trying to get the respect of each other. Because if you don't have respect for each other, the police officer is not going to give you respect, because he see how you treat each other. You're killing each other. You're calling each other names. So he feels that he can use that N-word. He sees that you're doing it, and he sees that you're shooting each other. How you expect him to respect you? That's the key.
Interesting. Bill, let me ask you another question. Now, as a black man particularly, and I'm sure you have people who think this way, but I try to ask questions that people are thinking about and maybe scared to say. So that's why I reached out to you gentlemen to come on the show, to be able to talk to grassroots people. As selecting an attorney, some people say, why did you accept a white attorney as opposed to a black attorney?
You know what it is? You look at the person's face. That's how I accept a person. Honesty. You can tell by honesty by looking at that person's face. Are they for real or not? Are they in there for publicity? Are they there for just, for their own game? To me, he's not. He saw wrongdoing and trying to correct it. That's why I look at this man here. I call him a young man, even though he's older than me, But you understand what I'm saying. You have to look at a person. You got to feel that person. Because if you don't have that, I don't care. All that background check, it don't matter. If you don't have it here to feel that person, it don't matter.
How are the rest of the family members doing? Your wife and Sean Bell's wife, your daughter-in-law, how are they coping with this? Guzman and the rest of them.
That's a hard question, because every day it's a different day. It's hard to even know how we gonna feel, what each other gonna go through each day. My daughter, she goes through changes. She cries a lot. My wife cries constantly. Me, I walk a lot and I talk a lot to myself. That's a bad sign, because the pain I have, I don't know what to do with it. And I can't put it on her, because her pain is so great, So what you supposed to do there? How you supposed to live? How you supposed to survive? That's my job now, trying to survive each day. Not each year, but each day.
Thank you.
Look here. Twist your spine till it feel like jelly, and heat your blood till it's boiling wine. Who splits your heart in a zillion pieces? Baby, you'll blow your mind.
He sure will.
Well, who blind?
Couldn't wait for Saturday to come, but now I can't wait for Sunday to come because I'm in Sunday school. I'm in service during the week. I mean Sundays, all day. There's Monday we cleans the church.
Welcome to the Voice of the Bible Church of Christ Incorporated, a weekly program with the Bishop Roy Bryant Sr., D.D.
He's a kid of romance, so put you in a trance. So come on, give him a chance to make you dance. A cool Clyde, shocking the sock, shock, sucking the